Only people who become addicted are already living immorally or living a rough life. Yeah, that is so wrong. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Tell Your Story. My name is Nason, and guys, I've got a really cool one for you tonight. I'm super excited. Do you ever just watch, say, a Hollywood feature film and you see things about like drug addicts and recovery, things like that, and it's slightly over exaggerated, like the characters don't make any sense and they just look absolutely crazy?
You're crazy. I'm not. No, I'm not.
That's what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about misconceptions about addiction and addicts by themselves. So I went to Facebook like I usually do. I asked a tough question of my peers. I asked, what are the biggest misconceptions when it comes to addicts? And obviously this one hit a nerve because you guys put 44 comments underneath with all kinds of different answers. I picked out a couple of my favorites. I want to go through those and sort of like dialogue that we had and go down in a little bit deeper and talk about what they mean and where we're coming from. If that sounds good with you, let's get into it. One of the first comments that I really enjoyed was that we don't care about our family and friends in active addiction. So this is obviously like a misconception of how addicts feel when they're on drugs. The truth is that we care a lot about folks, and a lot of drugs have a tendency to like ignite the way we feel about things. And to be truthful, a lot of that has to do with shame. People don't see addicts as caring about other people because there's so much shame going on in here about what they're actively using, whether or not that be drugs and or alcohol. The next one I read was that it's a lifestyle choice instead of a mental illness. People need more education on this topic. Every one of us is one life trauma away from being in the same shoes of the people being judged. That's a pretty good answer. I mean, walking a mile in my shoes as an alcoholic, probably a tough thing to do. I would never have chosen to go, drink a bunch of alcohol had I known the depths of despair that crap was going to take me to. Here's a great misconception. All addicts are morally corrupt. Yeah, I answered this one really funny. I was like, right? Like we are born from Satan's children, and that's why we're addicted to drugs. A friend of mine wrote a really good one. It's that they have a choice and could just get better. Do you hear that a lot in, say, addiction? Like even, especially with like moms and dads and family members. Why don't you just get sober? It's not how it works, Mom. My aunt posted this one. This is a misconception all the time. It's that they all lie. But is that a misconception or is it the truth? I'll tell you what the truth is. The truth is that alcohol and drugs take a hold of our inhibitions and the way we think about things. People like to say you have a choice like at any time during addiction. That's not true. We had a choice before we had our addiction, like to take drugs or alcohol, and then we have a choice afterwards when we have some clarity. I've made a video on that. So take all your misconceptions and all your thoughts about addicts and throw them in a hole somewhere, because truthfully, you may not know anything about a person based on how they look. Haven't you heard the old saying, don't judge a book by its cover? Yeah, you got to open the cover and read some of it to understand truthfully what's going on in here and in here. Usually what you see in, say, said movies and other things is that you find addicts are like living under a bridge. They're like super strung out, and they are homeless and they have no food, no friends, all of that kind of stuff, right? That's kind of like the movie setting. That's what I always see. That misconception, really couldn't be further from the truth. I was an alcoholic, and there's a term for me, and it's called a functional alcoholic. I had a job for a long time, a roof over my head. I was never once homeless, but you see, the difference between said movies and real life is that most people that are alcoholics and drug addicts hide what they do. Typically, I find that most addicts are actually quite intelligent. It's only once they've taken their drugs that they're so clouded up here that they have nothing better to do than to go out and find their next fix. Not all addicts lose everything because of their addiction. In fact, what they do is because of the shame that builds up on the inside, all of that pain, they hide everything. I mean, most people put on a mask over the face. Now, I don't mean a literal mask. I mean, they're a different person when they're using their drugs than they are in their daily lives. I mean, you could walk down the street and see the most put together person. Turns out he's snorting coke in the back room most days. Common ground that we have to find with folks is you have to understand that the stereotypes are one thing and a person is another. All addicts are people, and the way we treat them can really define whether or not we're helping people or just pushing them away. Anyway, guys, that's all I've got for this evening, so I guess I'll see you in the next one. Peace.